Morning, Hugh. Welcome aboard. Morning, Alison. Morning, Karen, Paul, Luke, Dave, Tricia, Rosalind, Patricia, Linda, Andy, Ian, Robert, Stephen, Marty, Gail, Googie, Ian, Paul, and who we got on the other side of the fence? Morning, John. Morning, David. Morning, Peter. Fiona, Ali, Kerry, Big Ray, Alistair, Jim, Stuart. Numbers are climbing nicely, folks. Next Struthers, Lorraine, Stephen, the Scotland Effect, Ackies, morning Ackies, morning Doug. Right, we're up there at 100 marks, so let's get this broadcast underway. Indy Truck Davey out the truck and at home in his office in Salisbury, North Lanarkshire, where it's a miserable bloody morning, overcast, low cloud, drizzle, 9 degrees. That's the weather forecast for Salisbury, North Lanarkshire. You want to know what it's like with you? Look at your rain, bloody windy. All right, news review for Monday. The 14th of the 11th, 2022, better known to you and me as yesterday. We've got a lot to get through. Sorry about yesterday, folks. There was a scheduled work on the telephone exchange and I forgot all about it. All right, anyway, Monday started with a mixed bag in the rags. The Express, the Metro and the Eye go with tax raises for all, coming out the House of Thieves and Carpetbaggers. The National tells us Tories are accused of deliberately running down the NHS, and this is from Trade Union Chief Christina McInerney of the Unison Union. All right, tell us something we didn't know. That's all part of the plan. Run it down, get it overwhelmed, say to the public, we don't have the money to fix it, we need to put it into private hands. This is the game, but we'll get a wee bit more into that as we go further in, all right? The Scotsman, His Yusuf, tells NHS workers in Scotland there is nothing left in the budget to offer more money. And he's probably right. Scotland has a fixed budget. A wee bit more of that and as we go on. Right, the Press and Journal strikes in the NHS inevitable. As Yusuf tells staff, there is no more wriggle room in the Scotland's fixed budget. Same again for the Press and Journal. The Mail has Army on standby as ambulance staff to strike. We're all paying taxes for them. They may as well be busy. The Times and the Telegraph go on. Russia is a rogue state. Sunak tells G20 leaders. Putin's a no-show at the event. He sends his Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov to the G20 instead himself. Okay. The Herald has new pact with France to stem flow of asylum seekers. And the other headline in the Looney Tunes Herald is firms fear transport woes a threat to viability. And this is on ferries again. And what we're saying is a crap service to the islands. All right, so that's our rags yesterday. Well, move on, shall we? Moving on, Monday. Monday started down that road with a economist reaction to the Chancellor Jeremy Hunt's denial that Brexit had a negative effect on the economy. Michael Sanders of Oxford Economics, he's a senior advisor on economics at Oxford, tells Sky News that Brexit has permanently damaged the UK economy. He also tells Sky that London loses crown as biggest stock market in Europe to Paris because of Brexit. Okay. Business investment is also down right across these islands because of Brexit, and the trade restrictions and additional costs that are permanently there for businesses now because of Brexit. All right. So, you know, companies in Europe and companies in the UK have stopped trading with each other. It's just not worth the paperwork. It's not worth the cost. Now, here's the thing. Everybody in their dug knows that Brexit has damaged the UK economy. Everybody outside Labour and Tory down that road have recognised that Brexit has been harmful to the UK economy. But we have Tory big hitters standing by the lies that they told the people in England to get them to vote for Brexit, and you've got Labour saying we're not going back in again because the people voted for Brexit. So, permanent damage, shrinking economy. I remember before we joined the European Union. Back to being the sick economy of Europe is where we're headed. All right. But why Tory and Labour can't look at it 6 years on for the vote and say, let's be honest, people, we've made a mistake here. Let's face it, the people in England in droves in the polls are showing that they've realised they've made a mistake. Why can't the politicians that sold them it just say, aye, this is a failed experiment, we better do something about it? Mental. Right, moving on Monday and back here in Scotland. And the First Minister announces the expansion of the Child Benefit Scheme to include all eligible children under the age of 16. That equates to about 400,000 children in Scotland. She also announces that the child payment will be increased from 20 quid a week per child to 25 quid a week per child. The poverty charities hail it as a game changer. Well, we'll see if it's a game changer when Hunt whacks benefit claimants on Thursday. Anyway, the changes will lift many young families in Scotland out of poverty. Not all of them, not enough, but it shows the intentions and the direction of the Scottish Government. Now, if this can be done with a fixed budget and with the current restrictions placed upon us by being in the Union, just imagine what we could do with the full powers and fiscal levers that will come to us with independence. No more paying for Trident, no more 55 billion quid a year fiscal adjustment to pay for them to administer pensions and unemployment benefits. No more sending 78 billion quid a year down that road to have 41 cent back. And all the taxes and revenues that flow to Westminster will then flow into the Scottish coffers. Scotland is an extremely rich country, and the notion that we have children in poverty is outrageous. We might be doing better than the other nations within the United Kingdom because of our political choices, but it's still bloody outrageous. That's one of the reasons why we need full fiscal powers that come with independence. All right. Right, moving on Monday down that road, and Cruella, a racist, the Home Secretary, signs a new deal with France to patrol the French coastline to prevent asylum seekers from heading across the channel in small boats. Now, the UK will now pay France about £74 million a year of our money to do what Brexiteers said Brexit would do: control Little England's borders. Kent's turned into a French customs park, and you're having to pay the French to patrol their side of the channel. Whipper. The French are just laughing. Huh? Mental. Hey, since Brexit, the amount of immigration into the UK has fallen slightly from Europe, but has gone up from the rest of the world, particularly India, Pakistan, and the Middle East. All the places we're told where all these dangerous terrorists that hate our guts live. Wow. So, no white Europeans, but potential terrorists from the Middle East. Wonderful stuff, this Brexit. Anyway, as I say, the increase in immigration is coming from India, Pakistan, and from the Arab states. Absolutely mental. So there we go. Take back control of your borders means pay France a fortune to control their borders so that you can do even less to help your fellow man down that road than what you already do. Labour market shortage, everything. You got all these young men coming across the channel looking for asylum. Too stupid to put them to work. Wow. Also, Monday, down that road, Sunak announces a £4.2 billion deal with BAE Systems to build 5 more Type 26 frigates on the Clyde. Now, the number of Type 26 frigates to be built on the Clyde increases and decreases with the likelihood of Scottish independence. A wee bit like oil. The nearer we get independence, the less valuable it is, and it's going to run out. Well, the same carry-ons going on in the Clyde. We'll change it now from 3 frigates to 8 frigates. It started off as 12 frigates at the last referendum. In fact, they were going to turn the Clyde into a frigate factory, apparently at the last referendum. So there we have a scare story. You lose jobs and a decade's worth of work if you become independent. We won't buy your ships for a foreign country, even though they're buying the auxiliary vehicles for the Navy from the Far East. And there's only one place in the UK where they have the capability of building these Type 26 frigates. And BAE is a private company, and they'll decide where the construction of these ships are. On the other side, of course, Scotland starting from scratch, but only with an 8.3% per capita share of existing armed forces and equipment. We're going to have to build our own bloody navy. We live in an island in the middle of the sea. Mental. So there you have it, folks. Another carrot dangled in front of Scottish people. New bauble. 5 ships if you don't become independent. Bauble, bauble, bauble. Then you build your whole bloody navy if you do become independent. Stupid. Oof. Moving on, Monday, back here in Scotland. Trade union Unison rejects latest pay offer from Scottish Government. The pay increase offer was effectively an 11% pay deal for the lowest paid and a 7% for the higher earners. Unison members, look around. Whom's has already tell you there's no more money in the budget? Look around at each other and ask yourself whose job's gone. The cleaners, the porters, the kitchen staff. Because that's effectively what you're saying to your members here, Unison. There is no more money. And if you want more money, that means have a look at each other and these particular jobs, especially. Because there's less chance they're going to lay off medical staff and what there is they're going to lay off ancillary staff. So, Unison members and ancillary staff, have a good look at each other. And go back to your trade union and say, maybe this is the right deal. Right, moving on, Monday. And the slowdown in the housing market due to mortgage products being removed from the market due to a trustee's mini budget, which is also forcing interest rates up and continues to do so, and will do according to the Bank of England, but we'll get there. House prices are falling, but rents in the private sector in England and Wales are soaring as buy-to-let mortgage prices go through the roof. Interest rates at 3%, adding additional costs of $3,000 a year to buy-to-let properties down that road. And inflation expected to rise to peak at 4.5% by May and remaining that high for all of 2023 and into 2024. This will see a lot of folks repeat what their parents did in the 1980s. So banks can expect tons of keys through the letter boxes as people walk away from properties worth less than the debt that they owe on them. And then there's a problem, of course, for the private renters and the banks. Right. You see, there's also fears of a collapse in the rental sector as buy-to-let mortgage holders have to renew, some of them have to renew their mortgages. If a buy-to-let mortgage holder who bought a property in 2020 at 183,000 and with interest rates then at 1.8%, they were expected to make off that property £2,000 a year a profit per property in their portfolio. After mortgage renewals and the interest rate hikes, guess what? They've calculated to own a £183,000 mortgage. These guys will go from earning £2,000 per property in their portfolios to £7 per annum per property in their portfolio. So we can expect a mass exodus from the buy-to-let market down that road. Rents are froze here until April, but we will see rent pressures take place here as well. So it looks like there's a plan coming to fruition down that road, and that will be that a small private renters portfolios, a small amount, they'll go belly up, and the banks will sell these portfolios to those who can afford them for buttons, and the 1% get richer. The bigger portfolios down that road of private rented properties, like housing associations, things like that, they're in for years and years of not being able to maintain the properties because they're not making any money off the properties. So disaster in the housing market thanks to Trussonomics. And of course, ongoing Tory mismanagement of the economy. And that's been going since 2012. Throw in Brexit, we're a right shite show. Okay, moving on. Monday. And Sunak sees Tories recover ever so slightly in the polls. Labour are still odds on to win the next election to the House of Thieves and Carpetbaggers, but 2 years is a long time in politics. What was interesting about the YouGov poll is that Sunak's personal ratings are higher than Starmer's. Sunak's personal ratings sit at 38% and Starmer's at 36%. And in the public eye down that road, the English people also still think Sunak and the Tories would be better custodians of the economy than Sir Conrad Starmer and the Labour Party. As I say, 2 years is a long time in politics. And it would appear the uneducated and ill-informed little Englanders have forgotten the catastrophe of the last 8 weeks, and of course Trussonomics, throw in the 12 years of a Tory austerity, and of course the suicidal Brexit. And they still believe that Labour would be worse at husbanding the economy than the Tories. You couldn't make it up. Wow. Anyway, there's something failed in the education system down that road. Either that or it's the human shite being pumped into the water supply. But something's no right down that road. Oofed. Right, moving on. Monday back here in Scotland. And apparently you can't get to see a GP because there ain't enough of them. Well, if that's the case here in Scotland, you must be up shite creek without a paddle in England. In Scotland, there are 10.1 GPs per 10,000 head of capita. In England, there's only 7.6 GPs per 10,000 head of capita. So if you can't get a doctor's appointment here, geez, it must be really bad down that road. The truth about it is, it's all bollocks. And that's what it is. It's contrived crap. I don't know whether you noticed this or no, but we're getting NHS bad, NHS crap right across these islands, and there's an agenda there. I want a GP appointment, I pick up my phone. I get a GP appointment. Sarah and I have never had a problem. There seems to be a postcode lottery out there, and down to, in some cases, bad surgery management. In other cases, there could could well be areas where there isn't enough GPs to cover the population. But as I say, at 10.1 GPs per capita, we must be doing, no, 3 times, we must be doing hugely, significantly better than doing that road. We're only 7.6 GPs per capita. But as I say, the agenda is to run the NHS down and convince English people that they don't have enough money, and the only way to save it is to move to an insurance base. Healthcare system, which will force the same thing to happen in Scotland, Wales and Northern Ireland, because when they stop funding the NHS down that road, then of course there is no consequentials for us to fund our NHS up this road. It's contrived, it's bollocks, it's pish, and it's deliberate. The other thing they're trying to do with the NHS here in Scotland is to make the people think it's that bad that it's all right for Westminster to take that competency away from the Scottish Parliament. Even though that we know that our NHS is performing at least 10% better than in England, probably 12 to 13% better in Wales, and the same again in Northern Ireland. But there is an agenda here, folks, and you have to understand that our NHS is under threat. And the only way to protect it is to take back complete control of our finances so that we can fund it properly and protect it properly. And remember, the First Minister has said that she will write the NHS into public hands forever in a new written constitution for Scotland. That's something worth thinking about when you're on the fence when it comes to independence. A protected national health service which cannot be privatised, cannot be marketised, is the plan going forward after independence. Okay. Right, also Monday here in Scotland, ex-First Minister Henry McQueish, a First Minister that lasted all for 5 minutes in the job, calls for a ban on alcohol sponsorship in Scottish football. There goes another revenue stream. And a man that claims to love football, taking another revenue stream away from a game which is already struggling on the park because the quality is crap, so therefore they'll not getting big bucks off TV or radio deals. So another potential revenue stream for the SFA and Scottish football is to be axed. Also Monday here in Scotland, Edinburgh War Memorial vandalised. Outrageous behaviour. I might not like what's become of Remembrance Sunday. It's become more like a bloody carnival, and it's become more glorifying of the past and of war than what it has been about remembrance. But the basic premise to remember those who have fallen in battle is right, and to vandalise a cenotaph or a war memorial is not on. Right, also Edinburgh's Hogmanay torchlight procession cancelled due to funding shortages. I have to say that Edinburgh's becoming less and less focused in the world for Hogmanay because of all these cuts and lack of festivals and fireworks and all that sort of thing. It would appear that Scotland is no longer the home of Hogmanay. Right, also Monday here in Scotland, more transport woes with 3 investigations into the grounding of the MV Veragan off the coast of Orkney. More Scottish government couldn't run a manoj to the Pravda. So there's to be 3 inquiries into this boat having run aground just after the Orkneys. Why don't they just make it 1 inquiry and save money? You know, surely a joint inquiry would be most cost effective. Anyhow, the tub that ran aground is owned by Orkney Council and is in dock in Kirkwall, being inspected by the Maritime and Coast Guard Agency before it can go back into service. The tub had 41 passengers and 10 crew on board when it ran aground. And how did they get the thing afloat? Tide came in, it floated away. Right, so who's running these inquiries? You get the Health and Safety, the Maritime and Coast Guard Agency, and Orkney Council. They've all got inquiries going into this tub running the ground. So surely it's more cost effective to do it all in one. Hi, Abro. Anyway, okay, moving on. The finally for Monday, apparently the website set up by the Scottish Government for people to register for the child payment, the new child payment crashes. The system was up and running again by 12 noon. Asked about the incident, the First Minister tells the Pravda it shows how great the need for it for this payment is. AMT age struggling families, as I say, 400,000 children are now eligible for £25 a week uplift. So if you get 2 or 3 kiddies, that's a fair amount coming into your household if you meet the criteria. Okay, fantastic thing. Right, so they're the stories I want to talk about yesterday, but I want to, before I move on to what the rags say this morning, and I'm going to quickly have a quick word on the direction of travel, and it's something we've all heard before in the 1980s. All right, last Wednesday, in reply to a Labour MP's question on poverty, Sunak replied, the best way to get people out of poverty is to get them into work. He then claimed and boasted that 700,000 more children have at least one parent working since the Tories came to power 12 years ago. This is true, by the way. Unfortunately, there's now something called the working poor, and they also live in poverty, and that's who these 700,000 people are. But the line of attack was clear: blame the lazy slackers who are in unemployed households. That's the direction of travel. We had this in the past. What's interesting is they seem to have added a new class system here. We went to having an underclass and a working class, and a lower middle class, upper middle class, lower high class, up high class, and elite. We now have another class in there in the middle again, and they are called the working poor. So we now have working poor, lower working class, and upper lower working class. Isn't that wonderful? Now, as the 700,000 more in work, 0 hours contract, agency staff. Why is the gig economy booming? Well, because the cost of labour is so cheap in the UK. It really is. I mean, short-term contracts give employers flexibility in workforce management, and hiring a human is cheaper than buying a machine. There you have it. You can hire a human for a year cheaper than you can buy a machine. Hey, right. That's what to talk about. So the direction of travel down that road is to blame the unemployed for being unemployed again. Instead of blaming mismanagement of the economy, those who are working poor have now to look at those who are unemployed and say it's your fault. Those who are lower working class now have to look at the working poor and the unemployed and what they call the underclass. It's their fault. And so on, up the pecking order down that road where the class system's embedded. They're mental. Right, let's have a look and see what the rags have got to say this morning. Time's getting on. Okie dokie. Scotland's papers: French fugitive arrested in Buckfast sales soar. Alright, so the Herald has notorious Holocaust denier is arrested in fishing village Frenchman who broke anti-Nazi laws living under false identity. There you go. So apparently somebody who is a Holocaust denier, which is illegal in some states in Europe, has been apprehended to be sent back to a state in Europe. As we all know, Manky Jacket man, the British Unionist, the arch-British Unionist, Alistair, is also a Holocaust denier. The record has Salmon's lawyer suspended. Gordon Jackson QC is given 5 months ban for naming ex-First Minister's accusers. Former MSP identified complainer on the train, but the complainer has the right to appeal the sanction. So I dare say Mr. Jackson will be appealing the sanction. The loony rag right-wing gammon paper, the Daily Mail, has Russia's $4 billion warship boost for the Clyde. Heard that? Anyway, even if they want to spend $4 billion more on warships, it's funny how there's always money out of that magic money tree for the war machine, but there's nothing to feed the poor and heat the poor. Wow. The Daily Telegraph has Scotland to ease path to trans surgery. fears that extremists are influencing policy. Oh, you've never heard so much passion all your life. And he has plans for a fast track operations is criticised. I haven't seen any plans for fast track operations, but I don't really care. And the other headline is a Bucks Fast sales soar after Sturgeon's alcohol price reforms. Dairy, well, that's about to stop with a cost of living crisis. The Scotsman has Buckfast sales surge in first year of price rules. So in the first year of the minimum unit alcohol pricing, the price of Buckfast comes down a wee bit. They're claiming that sales went up. Very good. Never tried this stuff myself. Don't fancy it. The Times has Sunak will help poorest by boosting living wage. He's about to put taxes up and all. See this a smoke and mirrors push. Give with one hand, take away with the other. It's always the same and it's always been the bloody same. One of the reasons for independence at this point in time is the UK's on its arse. It's time to take back control so that we can build back something better than what we have at the moment. And apparently Xi Jinping and Biden say give peace a chance. Very good. The Looney Rag Daily Express has Rishi gets it. Pensioners at forefront of my mind. So they say he might keep a triple lock for the pensions, but he's definitely not going to keep it for benefit scoundrels, as he calls them. Hey, the eye has Starmer raise UK taxes for Amazon and non-doms, not lowest earners. Starmer wouldn't do it once he gets into office anyway, because Starmer's owned by these people as well. The National has Baroness gets 15k for just 34 days in Lords. Former Tory leader Davison received 9,744 for showing up and claiming a £5,716 in travel expenses. Meanwhile, Scots crash website and rush to claim anti-poverty child payment. Shame on Ruth, tank commander. Yeah, what else we got? Anything interesting in the local rags? Let's have a look at D&G, no. A9 drilling planned away due to market changes. So it's going to take longer to drill the A9. The Metro has Zelensky in person in Kherson. And the other headline is sickening. Yobs torch poppy wreaths at War Memorial. First Minister hits out at disgraceful attack. Where's a star? What's a star go for the day? The Daily Star of Scotland has. We've had OEUF, whatever the hell that is. It's one damn thing after another at the moment. It's a fucking disgrace. Now we can't even have eggs with their traditional brekkie. I have no idea what that's all about. A word in your share, like. I guess it's avian flu hitting the poultry population. Right, that's what I've got for you this morning. I hope you found it interesting. I hope you found it informative. And I hope you found the delivery entertaining. Okay, there is a campaign underway. Keep your eyes on the prize. Learn your how you gonies and get out there and win hearts and minds. Support the independent media. Support Broadcasting Scotland, Independence Live, Indie Live Radio, Caledon Media. Nori does a great Iran. Trues Radio, the iScot magazine, the national newspaper. Support independent bloggers and bloggers. And if they have a crowdfunder on the go and you can afford a couple of shekels to throw in the pot, please do. And as winter comes in, remember the last two pieces of guidance. If you're in close public areas, mask up, clean hands and surfaces regularly. If you're under the weather and you have a winter flu or something like that, mask up. And social distance, show some social responsibility. And if you're in health and social care and you're still using NHS lateral flow tests, please submit your results to NHS Scotland, as you guys live in our community, and it's important that we get to track the virus across the community. Okay, now, have a nice day. Look after each other, and we'll see you all again tomorrow.